Inclusion Committee. Today's meeting is officially called to order. Um, In terms of committee attendance, if any member of a standing or special committee of the board will not be present at a scheduled committee meeting, the member may ask the chair of the board to request that another board member, not a member of that committee, attend the scheduled meeting and be counted as a member for purposes of quorum and voting. Therefore, Jose Pagan has requested that Suzanne Miles Gustav, represented by Aaron Kelly, be counted for the purposes of quorum and voting on his behalf. Please note for the record, Karen St. Hilaire is representing Molly Wausau Park in a voting capacity. Next on the agenda, I'd like to propose a motion to adopt the minutes of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee meeting held on January 14, 2025. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so Jackie?
Yes.
Okay. Karen?
Yes.
Okay. Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay. Might not other. I have quorum, but I also have other board members. Okay, got it. Okay, very good. So next is diversity and inclusion update from our terrific officer, Ivelisse Mendez Justiniano.
Good morning, everyone. So today I will be reporting on our ongoing DEI work, which includes education, capacity building, language access, and community outreach and engagement. And that will be followed by our EEO update, which will be presented by Yvette Villanueva, Blanche Greenfield, and Nicole Phillips. So I'll start off with our education and capacity building. I'll be reporting on year to date. Our top trainings have been sexual harassment and prevention training with a total of 3,795 completions, identifying and managing unconscious bias with a total of 3,726 completions, and our third under our top three up to date is our Black History Month We United Unity, Community, and Solidarity workshop that was held for Black History Month with a total of 460 participants. To date, we have conducted total education and capacity building over 8,000, the exact number is 8,389 engagement events. In terms of language access, our top languages are Spanish, French, Haitian Creole. For calendar year to date, we have a total of 447 calls for a total of 6,762,800 Creole, which was a total of 297,028 minutes, which for 18,811 calls, for a total number of interpretation minutes of over, actually, we have it all broken down by all the different languages. And then we have our phone and video interpretation in terms of user feedback for over the phone interpretation and video remote interpretation. We have receiving over 95% satisfaction rate. This is based on over 120,000 calls from calendar year to March 21st of 2025. The total number of minutes was 8,946,282 in 123 unique languages. So there's a lot of work going on in that area. In terms of veteran support, because this is the beginning of the year, we are working on finalizing all the dates, which we have done now up until November. So we will be having a pop-up event at every acute care facility for the year. We rescheduled our pop-up in Queens for January, and we had 33 attendees. We had a Metropolitan pop-up in February 28th with 24 attendees. And our biggest success to date has been at Woodhall with 53 attendees. And these pop-up events allow not only our veteran employees, as well as our patients, as well as community members to come in and receive all types of information and assistance on veterans, different benefits that they have. We also have disability awareness. We had our blind patient experience simulation training, and this is a training where we reached out to providers with some of our patients, and we taught them how it is to be able to experience the world of healthcare through a blind or low limited visual proficiency when they're coming in to receive services. So individuals were outfitted with glasses that basically made them feel as if they had limited blindness or limited visual abilities, and they were able to sit on a stretcher and see how their patient actually perceived that. And so some of the feedback that we received from the staff attending is that they now had a unique understanding for what their patients come through, and they're able to take care of them better. So we had really positive feedback. In order to execute this, we had 62 attendees. In February, we held another disability event with 43 attendees. And so we worked with Helen Keller National Center and the Lighthouse Guild to get this done. In the blind patient experience, we had a total of 164. So in terms of disability awareness, we focus on establishing a general level of awareness as well as increasing information on the blind patient experience. For LGBTQ plus equity, we launched our second year, our 2-year cohort for LGBTQ mental health training on Monday, February 3rd, with a total of 25 participants. This year, we're excited to announce that we can offer continuing education credits to our behavioral health staff in the roles of licensed clinical social workers, licensed master social workers, licensed psychologists, and licensed creative arts therapies. And basically, this training enhances the system's clinical capacity for providing inclusive mental health services, particularly to the LGBTQ community. This training was developed in partnership with the Institute for Human Identity, and it equips learners with the knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary to provide effectively and culturally responsive care to our patient base. The length is 18 hours. Participants attend weekly 90-minute virtual sessions over 12 weeks from February to May of 2025. Eligible participants completing the training will earn 1.5 continuing education credits per class for a total of 18 credits for those who attend all classes. We also held our first Trans Health Fest in honor of Transgender Day of Visibility. We hosted it on March 31st. This took place at the LGBTQ Community Center, where we partnered with over 20 community-based organizations who each promoted their services as a one-stop shop to the patients that came in to participate. The community center and the event was open to all, including transgender, gender diverse, non-binary, staff, community members, allies, and anyone who wanted to learn more information on the services provided. And we had over 145 participants attend the event. In terms of communication and marketing outreach, in January, we distributed over 500 copies of the 2025 diversity calendar to our partners, facilities, executive leadership. We not only distributed them in hard copies, but also in soft copies. They're available within our Insider, and promotional materials distributed for system-wide training sessions as well, making people aware of all the things that were available in terms of outreach and education. In February, we observed Black History Month and World Hip Hop Day, among others, that had a total number of 847 views. So this is staff actually trying to take time and to learn more about these events. We also held employee voice sessions, and it attracted over 147 participants. We also held a Black History Month webinar with over 460 staff in attendance. Continuing in March, we distributed the March Holidays and Observances newsletter, which highlighted Women's History Month, Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, Zero Discrimination Day, among others. That particular page had 1,127 views. Promotional materials were distributed for system-wide training sessions. We are also going to be launching the Women in Leadership series, which was launched in celebration of Women's History Month. When we held the event last year, we held an original panel with 3 of our women leaders in the system. And this year, because of popular requests, we're extending that to a year-long event where every month we will highlight a different woman in leadership. And we will be kicking it off in 2 weeks with Dr. Nicola Davis, who will be our first guest. And it will be set in the sense of a fireside chat, learning and inspiring others who want to go into leadership. In continuing with education, communications, and marketing, we celebrated Lunar New Year, the Year of the Snake, and these are some pictures of the staff celebrating. And then we also celebrated Black History Month, featuring some of our Black history, some of our Black leaders in different roles throughout the system.
Look at Laquan. This is good. This is good. Yeah.
And that concludes my portion of the presentation, and now we will go on to EEO.
I just wanted to add, I think, and board members will want to add, what I would just want to add is, I always appreciate most when I get unsolicited comments about the great people who work at health and hospitals. And I was at a mayor's office meeting on older adults, and the deputy director of the Department of Disability came to say how much she appreciated Ivory's and how, because they've had a whole challenge about teaching departments, about employing people with disabilities, and that they met Ivory's, and she immediately agreed to come to their open house and talk about health and hospital jobs, and that she was a great colleague to have, and they were effusive in their praise of your efforts. So I thought that was really nice. Jackie?
Hi, great presentation. Near and dear to my heart because I have a disabled son, disability, and I kept saying, "Oh, I think I'm gonna go and get on that disability board to make a change." Because all the things, I know, and not only that, he was a part of the lighthouse because he's legally blind, and so I'm curious to find out. So the city, because I know it's state too. So the collaboration, I just need to understand the collaboration.
So basically, we reached out to them to partner and see how they can help us to increase awareness on the blind patient experience. And then we worked together to craft a program that would allow us to engage not only our clinicians, but also our patients, the communities that were coming in. We held it in Queens in the lobby. So as individuals were coming in, they could just sit down. They were given an introductory kind of overview as to what can you expect, what is this about, and then they were outfitted, and I actually we have more pictures. They were outfitted with special glasses that simulated different grades of visual ability. And then from there, the doctors were able to, so picture a doctor who has full cognizance, they have full visual, but now they have glasses on, and you're asking them to step up into a stretcher. So if you don't feel it, if you don't understand it, it's more difficult to see what the patient is going through. So now we're providing almost a simulated lived experience as to what it's like to be on the other side. And so one of the feedback that we received is we had one clinician that participated, and they came back to us that afternoon as we were still going, said, "I'm running back to the clinic because I have a patient that I know is visually challenged." And so that individual, now I'm able to offer additional assistance because I know what they're experiencing. And so that was actually one of the best returns on investments from that training, because we said we were able to immediately make an impact on the patient experience by training our staff and increasing awareness.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Are you, great presentation. You guys are doing amazing work. I'm Vanessa, I'm a new board member. Are you going to other facilities?
Yes.
Okay.
So this was the pilot. Based on the feedback that we received from this and based on the interest, we are now going to follow the same format that we're doing with the veterans events. And our goal is to have a different event at each facility throughout the year.
Thank you, Jen. Good. Good.
Okay, other board comments? Okay, then Yvette, I think you're next up.
Great, thank you. And so we're going to present to you some demographics related to our great workforce at New York City Health and Hospitals. Approximately 66% of our workforce identify as female and 33% as male. In addition, their ethnicity race breakdown is 80% of our workforce identifies as minority. And as you can see for the breakdown, 38% identify as Black African American, 15% as Hispanic Latino, and 21% as Asian. And we also have the category of multi-race, which is 4.1%. And these categories of race and ethnicity are in line with our federal EEO4 reporting requirements specifically. And then through our EEO4 job groups, we've also broken down that our categories of our workforce in skilled craft, service maintenance, protective services. As you can see, the majority are male workers, and that is very common in these particular work groups. Skilled craft are things like the trade workers. Service maintenance, as you can see, is male dominated. Protected services, like our special officers, our watch persons, and et cetera. And of course, you see that in our paraprofessionals and professionals, people like our nurses predominantly identify as female. And so specifically, we wanted to look at our nurses, our pharmacists, our social workers, and our physician gender breakdown. As you can see, for our social work workforce, females are the strongest identifying group. Physicians are pretty, pretty even, pretty even. A lot of work has gone into that area for many, many years. Pharmacy, we have females, which are 65%, and of course, nursing, we still have 85% females. So our physician group has almost equal gender representation at health and hospitals, and that's inclusive of our affiliate providers. And next we have for our race and identify who they are, the resources that they need, but we also work with our employees and their family members, understanding that they are an extension of our workforce and in providing them information and resources to help veterans as they pioneer their journey. And now we have employee demographics related to our age distribution across our workforce. The median age of our workforce is now 42. And 50% of our workforce is between the ages of 30 and 49 years old. Our workforce now spans across 6 generations, and the majority, though, fall within 2 generations, millennials and Generation X. In terms of our years of service, we wanted to look at how many years of service our employees are across the system. And as you can see, 50% of our workforce have within weeks to 4 years of service. So our workforce is changing, and of course, it's getting younger and younger. We wanted to see where our employees live, what is the distribution, and 80% of our workforce reside within the 5 boroughs of New York City. And about 20% reside outside of that. And so we wanted to look also at our patient demographics. As you can see, 75 of our patients identify as minority, and we have over 50% of our patients identify as females. And next we have reasonable accommodations.
I'm going to take over, but before I begin, I'd like to introduce everybody to Nicole Phillips, who's the director of EEO. Nicole and I have worked together now. We had our 10-year anniversary, which we did not celebrate, but I am marking it right now to say we've been together 10 years.
That's lovely.
And Nicole has held various titles. She started out as an EEO officer and has been promoted, and of course now serves as the director of EEO.
That's different.
Yes, of course it is.
Yeah.
Homegrown.
I like that best.
Yes, absolutely. So reasonable accommodations, and I'm glad this is the first slide, because reasonable accommodations are modifications of job duties that allow people with disabilities to perform their essential job functions. And that could include people, our staff members who have low vision, who may need adjustments in their computer or other adjustments to perform their work. Staff who may be hearing impaired, we can give them a closed caption phone. We've even done that for some residents and providers here. So the range of reasonable accommodations is unlimited, and of course it's based on
on your own medical condition and what you need to perform your essential functions. Reasonable accommodations has become the largest book of business for the Office of EEO and has only grown over time. So for calendar year 2024, we had 2,817 requests for reasonable accommodations, and not surprisingly, the largest number of staff seeking reasonable accommodations are nurses. And of course, there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of the reasons is because it is a very physically demanding job. We do have staff who may have had a workers' compensation injury, and then in order to continue to work or to return from workers' comp, may need to have a modification of their job, which still allows them to perform their nursing duties and responsibilities. And though leave is also a reasonable accommodation, the office tries to work very hard to ensure that our talented staff do not stay home, but return to work. And we try very hard to work with them to grant the accommodation that they need. Internal complaints. So all of our staff members, as well as volunteers and other individuals, can file a complaint of discrimination with the Office of EEO for any of the protected bases here. And our numbers of internal complaints has also increased, and I believe this year, Nicole, I think is our all-time high of 342 internal complaints. I believe last year the number was 285. And while that number may seem high, I'm going to ask you to keep that number in mind as we go later on in the presentation and we talk about external complaints. So internal complaints are made here. They're reviewed by an EEO officer and a determination is made. If the staff member is unhappy with the determination made by the Office of EEO, they can file externally with a civil rights agency, the EEOC, the State Division of Human Rights, or the City Commission of Human Rights. Sexual harassment complaints with a total number of, I believe it is, is it 77 or? It's higher than that. Oh, sorry.
That's just the pending is the 77.
It means it has not have.
Like about 110.
Exactly. And last year, the number of sexual harassment complaints were 86. Now, you have to remember, sexual harassment includes gender discrimination and may not be sexual harassment as you may understand the definition. Also, the staff member determines whether or not they are designating this as a sexual harassment complaint. So they can designate it as a sexual harassment complaint, but it is reviewed under EEO to see if it violates any of our EEO policies. So we don't tell somebody your claim does not constitute sexual harassment. It could then just be reviewed as a gender discrimination complaint. External complaints. So external complaints is when the staff member files externally. We had 89 external complaints. Now, that's a very interesting number because you see our internal complaint number is much higher than external complaints. And to us, that demonstrates that our staff believe that they get a fair review by the office and they are less inclined to go outside and seek review than they are to stay inside and have our offices review it. In the general public, in the private sector, most people do not file internally, though it is available to them. They do file externally. So while our number of externals has increased, it is still a fraction of our internal complaint numbers. And that's it, and that is the end of the presentation and a summary of a year's worth of work.
Alicia is telling me something. Oh, okay, good. Thank you for telling me. Well, first, are there any questions from members who are currently here? Go ahead, Jackie.
So what's the difference between external and internal? in terms of handling it?
Okay, well, so the internals are reviewed by the EEO officer. They are the ones that conduct the investigations and write a report determining whether or not any allegation is substantiated. When it's filed externally, the Office of Legal Affairs, me and my team in the Office of Legal Affairs, we respond to that complaint externally. If you're at the EEOC, they can make a determination that it looks like something may have happened, and either they can try to
That's inside.
outside.
That's outside.
Inside, so if we make a determination that the conduct or some conduct is substantiated, if the respondent, the person who is charged with this action, is a Group 11 employee, then a recommendation is made to the CEO regarding what action should be taken with respect to their employment. If the person is a Group 12, a unionized employee, there's a referral to the Office of Labor Relations where charges are brought. Now, there could be other bases for charges also, but then charges are brought for violating the EEO policy. There is also the possibility, which has unfortunately occurred, where people have not cooperated in good faith during the course of the investigation. And in fact, there may be demonstrable evidence that they were not truthful, and that can serve as a basis of a charge against a Group 12 or action against a Group 11.
Got it. Group 11, Group 12.
Yeah, so managers, unionized.
Took me forever to remember which was which. I still get
Sometimes,
confused.
yeah, sometimes a little.
I still get confused. I don't know why we just don't say unionized, non-unionized.
Yeah, 'cause you
That would be
said,
helpful.
Again, the whole point of this, it's the EEO program, at least from my perspective, it's not a punitive program. The point of the program is to make sure that every person who walks on our premises is treated in a respectful manner and can come to work being able to concentrate on their job, not being distracted by unwanted conduct. So what we're trying to do is make sure that that is what happens every day. And if you need to take disciplinary action, then you will. If there's something else that can be done, sometimes somebody says something in a moment of anger, we try to evaluate what is being done and what's the appropriate way to address it and remedy it. But I don't want people to fear EEO. I want them to understand what it means and how to comport their behavior in the workplace. That's what's important.
Other questions?
I,
Go ahead, please. No,
I just wanted to know, do you keep track of where these incidents are coming from? Like, is it one specific hospital? Is it,
No.
do you keep track of that? No, okay.
No, I mean, no, it's not one specific
No,
hospital.
but do you keep
Yes,
track?
absolutely. And of course, sometimes you get complaints, right? And they're not EEO. Because if some people, what happens as a general matter, people have gone somewhere, they said, this has happened to me, and they're not satisfied with the response. And they've gone to all different response, and they're not satisfied. So then they come to EEO because they know we have to investigate it. But if you seem to get a number of complaints from 4 different people who have 4 different protective characteristics, none of them are the same, but they all have a complaint, we'll say, there's something going on here. And I usually reach out to my HR counterpart at that facility, and we're like, listen, something's going on there. Will you maybe have a town hall with the department or do something to figure out what's going on? Because all I can tell you is we see a lot of unhappy people.
percentage are we negotiating?
We don't negotiate those.
So I thought does the agency educate us? Does the outside agency ever come and say, we have this outside complaint, we've looked at it, and we think you, Health and Hospitals, should take some action? I assume that's what Sally was asking.
But I was going to address that in 2 ways. The individual who brought the complaint, who may have an attorney, may be looking for money. To the extent we internally believe that there is any type of issue based on our investigation of the complaint, that's independent of the complainant and their attorney. We address that separately, but what happens is they don't make final determinations. They issue probable cause determinations saying there's a question of fact, Health and Hospital says X, the complainant says Y, and then it goes to a public hearing. Before the public hearing, there is a preliminary conference where they try to get the parties to settle. usually for a monetary amount of money, and legal handles that. I usually do those. If we don't resolve that complaint, our cases are handled by the New York City Law Department, and they defend us in those. I think we have 3 pending, and I have to let you know that of the cases that we have actually litigated, we have prevailed in all of them. There have been ultimately been found to be no merit to their complaints.
Very good. Sally's other complaint, not a complaint, other question is more for you, Yvette. She points out that your statistics show that 8% of nurses are Hispanic, while 40% of our patients are Hispanic. And she says, how are our recruitment efforts for Hispanic nurses going? Any unusual obstacles?
So we think that it's really about the availability of the workforce in that particular area. And we are competing with other healthcare systems that have similar issues. So we are doing our best to recruit individuals, but as you know, we need nurses in every area. Regardless of what their ethnicity is,
Sure.
we need to fill our positions. And we've been doing that at a very high level of rate in the last 2 years, very successfully, I might add. So the statistics improve incrementally, but it's never really enough. And that's why we really look to our internal employees who want to have a career ladder in this particular space to help support them in things like forgivable loan programs and other things that we're looking for in the future that we're working with Ms. Ivelisse Mendez related to some waivers that we are participating in with New York in general, with New York State.
All right, very good. Other board questions?
This meeting is no longer being recorded.